Kuzambo, you are watching Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Karmasamthan Wangda. Our top stories this week. His Majesty the King grants Dar to appoint chairperson and deputy chairperson of Privy Council. Central monastic body arrives at summer residence. Hundreds line up to offer prayers and receive blessings. His Royal Highness Prince Jigil Ugenwachu graces inauguration of Thimphu Aquatic Center. His Majesty the King granted Dar to appoint the chairperson and deputy chairperson of the Privy Council.
Limpo Dr. Tanji Doji was conferred the orange scarf and appointed as the chairperson of the Privy Council. Limpo Dr. Tanji Doji graduated from Armed Forces Medical College, Pune in December 1976 and was commissioned into the Royal Bhutan Army, where he served for 30 years. He was conferred red scarf by His Majesty the King in 2009. Tasho Kezang Wangdi was conferred the Deputy Minister scarf and appointed as the Deputy Chairperson of the Privy Council. Tasho Kezang Wangdi has served in the government as Cabinet Secretary and Ambassador of Bhutan. Pupke for BBS News.
The central monastic body led by the Dojilebe arrived at Tashozong, its summer residence, on Thursday after a night halt at Simtokazong. The Prime Minister, ministers and government officials received the procession at Tashozong, while hundreds of students and residents lined up along the highway to offer prayers and receive blessings. The central monastic body will spend the next 6 months in the capital. Every year, they return to Thimphu on the first day of the 4th month of the Bhutanese calendar. The tradition of maintaining summer and winter residences was instituted by Shaptung Ngao Namgyel in the 17th century. From bad to worst, Bhutan's press freedom ranking has dropped by 57 places to 147th this year. The France-based international non-profit organization Reporters Without Borders, or RSF, released the World Press Freedom Ranking, coinciding with World Press Freedom Day on 3rd May.
In 2022, Bhutan was placed in the 33rd position, reflecting a relatively high level of press freedom. However, by 2023, the ranking fell to 90th position. The downward trend continued this year, with Bhutan's ranking dropping to 147. The RSF report bases press freedom in 180 countries on political, economic, legislative, social, and security indicators. Of the 5 indicators, Bhutan's score in the political indicator is the lowest in 2024, signifying increasing political pressure on journalism. According to the RSF, the drop is attributed to the difficulty of accessing state-held and governmental information and self-censorship by journalists. Moreover, the report states the struggles of privately owned publications, which have a relatively low readership and insufficient advertising for sustainability, among other challenges. Meanwhile, journalists shared the reactions to this year's World Press Freedom Index and discussed the difficulty of accessing timely information for news.
Good times for Bhutan's high media rankings is over. So for a long time we had high media ranking because we didn't have journalists getting killed or kidnapped or hurt. But now I think the foreign experts are looking more closely at the economic indicators, at the political indicators in terms of legislation, in terms of sustainability, high attrition rate. So I think it's a wake-up call as well.
So when it comes to self-censorship, I feel in Bhutan there is high. When it comes to reporters' side, to the interviewers' side, and even with our sources, everybody is in fear that even if we use pseudonyms, everyone will know it. So maybe that's one of the reasons that the press freedom ranking is very low. And secondly, it is highly talked that access to information is very low in our nation, even though journalists do not face the threat or death calls, but access to information has been becoming very challenging over the years.
And personally, I've actually gone through this experience where a media focal said that she'll get back to me within maybe 2 or 3 days. But then after a week had gone by, I tried contacting her again. And then it was that time that she told me that the specific individual who was dealing with the case or information was not in the country. She could have actually told me that the person is not in country right now, and I would have, just worked on it later on. But then that story actually died because of that.
During the first Meet the Press session with the current government, the Prime Minister emphasized the importance of the media's role in the country.
Macharagi daju sodalu gekhap nalu mapale khache chewi kha maso lamlu nalu ben yenla kha chetotochi in se shuni gekhap nalu nesil chabda beodalu junglu gakshe da chenyam gi thole be sida tamdalu ngachigi hotole ralu te magauda marum be noksa matamba gekhap ki tenui cheya zawasum cha shuni se nodigi be nabuda chikhabara cha shunigi te rewada melam yu se shuni.
Currently, according to the RSF, only 1% of the world's population lives in a country guaranteeing press freedom. Kinzang Haden, BBS News.
The Prime Minister, during the annual Journalism Award on the World Press Freedom Day, committed the government's support to train Bhutanese journalists. The Prime Minister called for all the media houses to submit proposals on what needs to be changed to improve the country's press freedom index, which dropped to 147 this year from 90 last year.
In his keynote address at the award ceremony, the Prime Minister said that falling 57 places in a year is a huge matter of concern for all the media houses. The Prime Minister expressed his appreciations to all the journalists for dedicating themselves to inform the nation despite the many constraints.
I will serve you. There's a lot to do. We will make funds available for training. We will roll out a series of short training per your request. And we will provide support for long-term training, particularly at the master's level. You let me know what needs to be done.
The country's media professionals who attended the event said that this is good news for the media professionals.
Young people with potential now joining the media. So what is missing is this training, professional training. That's what he meant, I think, because we have people with potential, but without experience and without training. So that's what it basically means, and I think that's the good news, because our media is, playing it by ear, most people. So it's good to be, for media, for journalists, you really need basic training.
The other is in terms of access to information should be improved for our journalists, because it's become so difficult, especially in the last couple of years, to get information. And I think because of that, our press freedom ranking has also suffered on account of that, and of course sustainability as well.
The Press Freedom Index is studied based on 5 indicators. Bhutan ranked 154 in political interference, 152 in economic interference, 165 in legislative interference, 169 in social interference, and 97 in security. Bhutan has dropped in all the indicators compared to last year. The Prime Minister, in his closing note, said that we need to put efforts in order to push our ranks and celebrate next year. Bhutan was ranked 33 in 2022. Namgidem, BBS News.
For over a decade, the National Referral Hospital in Thimphu has been struggling with bed shortage. The hospital management attributes this to a rise in elderly patients with chronic diseases needing longer treatment. However, the officials are looking forward to solving the problem when mother and child-related services are moved to Gyaltsen Jitsinpema Wanchu Mother and Child Hospital later this month.
Compared to other wards, it is the medical and surgical wards confronted with cramped conditions. The medical, surgical, orthopedic, and ear, nose and throat or ENT wards each have a capacity of 36 beds. However, they are still facing shortage of beds. For now, the hospital has placed 2 additional stretchers in each ward to solve the problem. In times of congestion, the patients are moved to empty beds in other wards. According to the medical superintendent, almost 80% of the patients admitted to the hospital are elderly people with chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, kidney failure, and liver diseases. Health staff said the number of patients getting admitted is always higher than the ones discharged. When the pediatrics, obstetrics and gynecology and neonatal intensive care unit are moved to the new Gyaltsen Jitsinpema Wanchu Mother and Child Hospital soon, the congestion at the National Referral Hospital is expected to solve.
Di ata 라빈디기 냠용기 베비와진 단니 인당 아파기
By looking at the progress, we are hoping to shift certain departments to the new Gilson Jitsinpema Wonchuk Mother and Child Hospital by the end of this month. Once we do that, we are expecting about 50 to 60% of the bed shortage in this hospital will be solved. This will definitely help patients and service delivery.
tapmadiudi teja chale biwajin apchu dukchu teaching achigi se subigi rewai tenga chigi nipsule pen temtekara to se achi rewa nevigedo se shunibe.
He added that they are currently testing and setting up the power supply at the Mother and Child Hospital. The medical superintendent further added that the National Referral Hospital will expand the wards and add more beds, making it more spacious. Namgedem, BBS News.
During the holy Buddhist months of the lunar calendar, Buddhists refrain from eating meat and release animals back into the wild to gain merits. In preparation of the meat ban during such months, people hoard meat items at home. However, health officials have raised concerns about the potential dangers of consuming stored and frozen meat. They warn that such practices can lead to food poisoning and even life-threatening conditions like nerve paralysis due to the formation of mycotoxins.
Starting Wednesday, all meat shops across the country will remain closed for a month to observe Saga Dawa, a highly auspicious month in the lunar calendar. One of the most common beliefs is that all actions made in the month of Saga Dawa is multiplied. The days leading up to the ban are lucrative for meat shops, as people rush to buy meat in large quantities to stock up for the entire month. However, health officials say stored frozen meat can be considered less healthy because it may contain preservatives, lose some nutrients during freezing, and sometimes harbor harmful bacteria if not stored or thawed properly. Dietitians say that meat items can be safely stored and consumed for 6 months only if they are appropriately stored within the temperature range of at least minus 18 degrees Celsius.
If we do not maintain all those prerequisites of storing or freezing, especially meat items, so it says that microorganisms start to grow and multiply as soon as an animal is being slaughtered. As early as possible, if that meat item or the slaughtered animal is being preserved or freezed or frozen, then we can minimize or decrease the risks of mycobacterial contamination.
He said that if meats are not stored in separate deep freezer, chances of microbial contamination is high if stored for longer duration. He added that though household refrigerators, which usually come with a freezing compartment, can be set at minus 18 degrees Celsius, it is not recommended for storing meat for longer duration as opening of the door can fluctuate its temperature. He said household refrigerators can store meat up to a week if set at minus 18 degrees Celsius, while the fridge compartment can store up to 2 to 4 days.
If meat items are contaminated by molds, yeast, fungus, then that can cause or generate neurotoxins which can destroy our nervous system, and sometimes it can be very fatal.
He said if people choose not to take meat during the meat-free months, there are other healthy vegetarian diets available. Studies and nutritional recommendations worldwide suggest consuming at least 90 grams of protein per day, and meat is just one component of that. In Bhutan, dietitians recommend taking legumes, lentils, soya chunks, and dairy products among others for people refraining from taking meat during the holy months. For Sonam Pelkit, this is Kipchu for BVS News.
The Office of the Prime Minister says discussions are underway with the Government Technology Agency, GovTech, to reduce data charges by 50%. The government pledged to reduce the data charges to enable citizens to harness the full potential of ICT.
Data charges in the country is touted to be one of the highest in the region. The two telecom service providers offer its mobile subscribers various data packages ranging from 19 Ngetam package to up to 3,999 Ngetam package. Although the government pledged to reduce the data charges by 50% or make it equivalent to that of India, nothing has been decided yet.
When we compare India and Bhutan, I feel the data charge is extremely high here. In India, when we recharge 299, we would get 2 GB free a day. But here, even if you recharge 99 or 299, within a span of an hour or two, I feel the data consumption is very high.
I feel the data charge is much higher compared to past days. In the past, we would recharge 49 data package which would last at least a week. But at present, I feel the 49 package doesn't even last a day or two.
As we are youth, everything is online now. Those youth who apply for jobs are also available online. Data usage is vital now. Previously, 49 package would last longer. Currently, it only lasts for a few hours or so. Sometimes I feel the consumption is very high. It will benefit us if the government can fulfill its pledge on reducing the data charges at the earliest.
The GovTech agency said that works are underway to study the viability of reducing data charges. The office added that they have also requested BIGMA to do a joint study on the reduction of the data charges. Both telecom service providers, Bhutan Telecom and Tashicel, were unwilling to comment on the matter, saying they are still awaiting directives from higher authorities. Frustrated with the slow and costly internet charges, people often take it to social media demanding a third telecom service provider. However, according to BIGMA, a feasibility study in the past found that due to the small market, the sustainability of an additional telecom operator is not feasible at the moment. Meanwhile, according to BIGMA, following its intervention, the telecom operators have reduced data charges by around 40% since 2018. In addition, BIGMA also initiated reducing the voice call charges by another 10% and SMS by 15% in 2023. Meanwhile, in terms of profit and revenue in 2022, Bhutan Telecom generated a revenue of over 5.8 billion ngetam and made a post-tax profit of over 2.3 billion ngetam. This is an increase of 9.35% and 15.7% in revenue and profit after tax respectively compared to 2021. Overall, the company's combined contribution to the government in taxes and dividends amounted to over 3.5 billion ngetam in 2022. PBS could not get these details for Tashicel as the privately owned company is not obligated to disclose such details for the public consumption. According to BIGMA, the initial 15-year license duration term for both the telecom operators ended in 2023 and was renewed for another 15 years, which will expire in 2038. As of March this year, there are close to 788,460 mobile users with the two telecom operators, of which over 725,000 are mobile internet users. This is Sonam Yuden for BBS News.
White-bellied herons are at a high risk of extinction due to habitat loss and degradation. According to the Royal Society for Protection of Nature, RSPN, the conservation of the critically endangered bird is constrained by the impacts of climate change, natural calamities, diminishing food resources, and limited knowledge about its ecology and biology. According to RSPN's annual white-bellied heron population survey report, there are some level of threats to the bird across the country's river systems. The survey found that Bhutan is home to 25 white-bellied herons.
22 white-bellied herons were observed in the wild and 3 at the Chanche White-bellied Heron Conservation Center in Serang. As per the report, the wild population of white-bellied herons were found distributed across the major river basins of Punatsanchu, Mangdechu, and Wangchu. The highest number of white-bellied heron was observed in Punatsanchu at 12, 5 in Mangdechu, and 3 in Wangchu. Likewise, 2 were recorded at Phipsu Wildlife Sanctuary. The population has dropped by 2 this year compared to last year. The RSPN said this is due to failure of nest. In 2023, 3 active nests were recorded. However, the RSPN said they did not see any chicks growing up into adult birds. Moreover, Sring Topge at the RSPN added that casualties were observed as the breeding season coincides with a peak monsoon in the country.
So when we have a chicks that's coming out from the nest, so actually it is also peak season in our country, and white-bellied heron being only feeding on a fish, so it's very hard because the rivers get swollen, the rivers get muddy, so then many of the chicks are actually they're not able to get the food.
White-bellied heron is one of the rarest birds in the world, with only 50 estimated individuals globally. It was first spotted in Bhutan by His Majesty the 4th Drukgyalpo in 1975. According to the RSPN, lack of awareness and knowledge and negligence are driving the species to extinction. According to RSPN officials, to protect the bird, they have been conserving the habitats while ensuring the community livelihoods are not affected by the conservation efforts.
When we conserve white-bellied heron, we also conserve the associated species. So many associated species, again flora and fauna both. Again, the community engagement, lots of livelihood activities are carried out by RSPN. So when we conserve white-bellied heron, the project actually includes the community, the livelihood activities, the enhancement of communities' livelihood activities.
RSPN supports fishery for people to avoid illegal fishing. This is because the white-bellied herons solely feed on fish along the river basins. Communities residing along white-bellied heron habitat are also provided with environmental education encompassing land management, water management, species conservation, and habitat conservation. The official said the number of white-bellied herons in the country is also an indicator of the river ecosystem, as the species is completely associated with the riverine ecosystem.
If we let the white-bellied heron to go extinct, so it actually indicates that the whole riverine ecosystem, the environments, so they are also degrading. So it's very important. So I always feel like when we conserve white-bellied herons, so we are actually conserving the environment. So they are actually the indicator of the whole ecosystem.
The white-bellied heron population survey was first initiated in 2003. Ever since, it has been an ongoing annual event coordinated by the RSPN with the support of the Department of Forest and Park Services and local conservation support group members. Devika Pradhan for BBS News.
His Royal Highness Prince Jigel Ugin Wanchu graced the inauguration of the Thimphu Aquatic Center in the capital on Wednesday. The Ambassador of India to Bhutan, Sudhakar Dallela, was also present. The center is constructed in Babina, which already has a skate park and a badminton stadium. The state-of-the-art center has facilities that meet international standards and aims to provide the facilities needed to train national swimmers for international competitions. Initially scheduled to be completed last year, the construction was delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The aquatic center has an 8-lane pool stretching over 25 meters. The center also has changing rooms, bathrooms, office space, and a cafeteria. It has been designed to accommodate over 200 spectators. At the center's opening, the 2 national swimmers expressed their excitement as they will undergo their training at the center.
So back when I started swimming, there was no proper pool. I had to swim in rivers and all. And now, since we have a proper pool built by the help of Bhutan Olympic and World Aquatics, I'm grateful that we are having a great swimming pool. And I hope I get to see so many future Olympians from this pool.
When I first walked in the hall, it was really nice, the pool. And hopefully we can bring out more swimmers from this pool in Bhutan. And I would be very happy, and it would be a token of gratitude from me to bring up swimmers from this pool, from Bhutan.
The Bhutan Olympic Committee said that the center will open to the public from mid of next week. Though the officials have yet to decide on the amount, the Bhutan Olympic Committee said that they will charge a minimal fee. The Bhutan Olympic Committee officials added that while the center aims to identify and train potential swimmers, its initial focus will be to promote swimming in the country by providing basic swimming training. The construction of the Thimphu Aquatic Center was funded by the government of India, costing more than 66 million yutam. BBS News. This is all we have for this week. Thank you for joining us.